Scott, and you're listening to Flashpoint Radio, Rise and Shine, your morning boost of inspiration, news, and fun, with Mikey G, Lady Elise, and CoraleeKaren, the unmistakable combination, synergized to navigate.
I want to say a pleasant good morning to everyone this morning joining us for the breakfast hour. And how are you doing this morning? I want to say good morning to Lady Elise and, of course, Lady CoraleeKaren this morning. Good morning to you. CoraleeKaren, good morning. How are you doing this
morning? Well, we are in a new month, and there are many things that are happening, including the days, and time is absolutely moving pretty fast. We're the third day of the second month of the new year.
Third day of the second month of the new year.
Yeah, but today is Marvellous Monday. So the idea, the thought is that we're going to make it marvelous.
I don't know about you, but I'm going to subscribe. I'm going to subscribe to that conversation. And I like the way we start this morning. Marvelous Monday. I like it. I think I want to feel that marvelousness all day today.
Yeah. Own it.
I want to feel that this morning. At least I don't know about it, but I think CoraleeKaren got it right the first time. But let's go with that one.
She normally gets it very right.
Normally gets it right.
Yes, and I thought I saw merciful Monday.
Merciful Monday. If you want to have some mercy, somebody should have some mercy on you this morning.
Not just on me, but it's not such a bad thing. Merciful Monday. Those persons who are having challenges, immigration challenge, they're praying for mercy. Merciful Monday. Merciful Monday.
Mercy.
We can treat the two, We can have a merciful, magnificent, marvelous. There she goes again.
All of those all in one. Why not?
But
of everything together this morning. Of course, we go to our devotion, and when we come back this morning.
Good morning. This is day 3. He put the lampstand in the tabernacle of meeting across from the table on the south side of the tabernacle. Exodus chapter 40, verse 24. The Right Light, written by Mart Dehaan. Eating in the dark is no fun. Low light in a restaurant is one thing. Eating in a room with no light at all is another. The same is true in our walk with God. Unless we take advantage of the light He gives, we will miss seeing what He is doing for us. We have an Old Testament picture of this, the tabernacle. As the priest entered a room called the Holy Place, he could see only by the light of a golden lampstand. Like everything else in the room, it had been carefully fashioned according to the pattern God gave Moses. The lampstand is a picture of spiritual light. The gold speaks of value. The oil symbolizes the Holy Spirit. The 6 branches coming out from the center shaft portray unity in plurality. The symbol of the almond blossom is linked to God's anointed priesthood. When all this is combined with a New Testament reference that uses a golden lampstand to represent the church, we have the complete picture. God gives light through the Spirit who works through his congregation of anointed people. 1 Peter chapter 2 verse 9. Yes, the Holy Spirit provides us with the light we need. Are we daily spending time in prayer and reading God's Word so that we can take advantage of it? Holy Ghost, with light divine, shine upon my heart. Chase the shades of night away and turn my darkness into day. Our quote this morning reads, "The light of God's holiness convicts the sinner and guides the saint." End quote.
Light. I love that devotional, Mikey G, and as I think about the devotional, I must also say good morning and welcome to the Breakfast Hour to all viewers tuning live on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, wherever you're joining us from. We are happy that you have chosen to join us this morning. It is magnificent, merciful, marvelous Monday. Wow. Thank you, CoraleeKaren. I mean, you are just good with the writing and the meshing of the words, the right light. I had the privilege of listening to the speaker at the Seventh-day Adventist led conference function that's happening this week right here, Convocation. And what a message he delivered last night. It was quite balanced. It's about stewardship, Mikey G. And of course, he touched everybody's toe.
Including my toe.
Everybody's toe. Good touching. Sometimes we need a reminder. He reminded us of the role of the function of the church. Can't be busy just trying to make profit and remember how much interest rate you're getting on the earnings, and then you have members hungry. And then he mentioned our responsibilities to as members, that what we have truly is what God has blessed us with. That car that you have, that house, that wife, that husband, the children you have, all are from God. Don't forget that. And of course, he reminded us, those persons that come in the church, don't look on anybody, don't look down on anyone. Everyone is important to God, regardless of their economic standing. Very, very good presentation. I enjoyed it.
Well, those are very strong points, and I think sometimes we miss it. We get so busy that and even in church, we're so focused on ourselves that we sometimes miss the person who's hurting beside us. And the whole idea of the community is so that we can, the Bible says that we should be able to come together. Do not forsake the assembly. And when you're in a community, it's about when somebody is hurting, you should be there. It's not for you to go and be imposing, but that discerning Holy Spirit that guides us into maybe just hugging somebody, just smiling, just being approachable, is sometimes all that an individual needs to let them know that they're not alone in whatever they're going through. And so it's very important for us. And if we start by doing that, by having an active interest in our neighbor, then I believe it distracts us from being selfish. It causes us to look beyond ourselves.
I believe in my mind, sometimes we get caught up, Lady CoraleeKaren, Lady Elise, with being self-centered. And, caring about ourselves is a natural reaction or a natural way of going forward, because Fitzgerald, and I've listened to a sermon on the weekend as well, or a presentation on the weekend, that speaks about the self-centeredness of how we are being groomed in our minds, you know, of how we are behaving. And so we're not behaving abnormally as according to how we think. But if you match our behavior, and this is where I said, reference the behavior, how we are behaving, lovers of ourselves, we love ourselves so much that we are obsessed with ourselves. You know, I would want to go as far as use the word infatuated. You know, it's a thing. And so if you notice when you look around you every day, you see people, they are always looking in the mirror and they're always checking. In fact, some persons will never take a picture unless the filter is on. You can't, you have to filter it. And you
filtered this morning. I noticed how crisp and clear you're looking. What filter are you using this morning?
It's so interesting that you could turn that one around on me. Lady Elise, but however, you won't deter me from the rest of the conversation that I'm going to be having. So,
I know, nothing deters you, Mikey G. No, if it's one thing that we all know, right, CoraleeKaren? We all know this.
On point. Mikey G is very focused on what it is that he's doing, never deterred, and so that's expected now. We can't
wait. We wait with bated breath.
We are waiting now. Well, guess what I'm going to do this morning. I'm saying today for myself, I look at what we do today and how people operate within their lives and how much less they pay attention to anyone else but themselves. Which you can't blame them. You can't blame people to behave like that because this is what you learn. It says children live what children learn. And so if this is what you're being taught, then why wouldn't you learn it? So selfishness is on the agenda. And if you look around you, you can see selfishness every single place that you can look, right? Everywhere.
It's very orchestrated, because gone are the days when the concept of the village raising the children. Now people are very isolated. They're very it's very about themselves and the family, and we've even gone so far away. No longer is it that we are close knitted, and as we talk about leaving the nest and going overseas, it comes to mind the thought that there are a lot of people who actually migrate, and we're looking about what's happening in the world now, and certainly with Trump having been successful, and it is said that a lot of people were wondering whether or not he would follow through on the promises that he made. And certainly that is what we're experiencing now. We're seeing mass deportation, mass detention of individuals in the States. He did promise that that's one of his main agenda on assuming office. And so it's going to be interesting just to have a conversation around what does that look like? What does that really mean? And that as we look at what's happening in the world today, how do we then align the prophecies of the Bible and how it is that we're seeing fulfilling in some of these pronouncements from world leaders such as Trump, the US, and those bigwigs, and what is the impact on us as a Christian community? Elisa, you mentioned about persons are hurting, and how it is that we're not ministering to each other. How does it come full circle in our conversation? So this morning we're looking at the world around us and the impact it has on us.
And certainly as we look at that, we are looking at areas, that, there's a list here of
places that have persons that are undocumented, and there have been studies that say that there are over 11 million unauthorized immigrants to the U.S. That's a lot.
Yeah. And what does that really mean, though, Lady Elise? When you say that they're undocumented?
Well, I gather that they did not go through the legal channels. They would have gone to the U.S., documented when they arrived, but they are not legally there. They would not have gone through the legal process of maintaining their right to be in the country.
Right, and so it's important for persons to appreciate that they're documented on arrival, and that's where it ends. After that, you would have been given, usually there's a number of, or a period which you're authorized to stay within the country, and they're expecting that you would leave. So in essence, the exit is not on the system. They don't see you leaving, although they have record of your arriving. And what happens is that you are now in the broader society, having gone beyond your stay. And so they're now seeing that you have not registered yourself as having any authority or any rights beyond a visitor. So anything that you're doing, a lot of persons go to the US, certainly for a better life. And then it begs the question, Lady Elise, Mikey G, why?
Well, it says that the US of A is called the land of the free, and of course justice is a big part of that freedom. Freedoms are it boasts the ideologies that it suggests that its policies create that freedom for humanity, that humanity should not be afraid and should not feel unjustified, or any unjust laws should be made up to degrade or disrespect anyone. It basically amounts to that, So it says that, and so it begs that question. Now, it has taken a new turn. And so people may have used that slogan probably too loosely. And now it comes back to say that you realize that it's not so free anymore. Because now persons who came in, and like you said, didn't get go any further than getting a visa into the US, whether be it by coming in through visiting someone, farm work programming, whatever program, or however, visa, student visitors, visas, whatever it is. They are looking at all these things, and they did not leave the US after finishing studying, and they were not naturalized in any way. They did not continue the process of getting US citizenship through any. And there are some channels that you can use to achieve this particular status. And so you didn't get to that point of achieving that status of US citizenship, and then you are here, and so it's considered you're considered undocumented, and creating another situation for yourself and the family that you may have. So it's a very tricky thing. And so I'd like to share with us a clip this morning in regards to this and what the Trump administration has just come up with and is actually going forward with the mandates that are happening. So I'm going to share this clip with you this morning. And of course, just listen to a few things. This is a short one, and these are immigration lawyers. Now, let's put a disclaimer in there. Whether it is scare tactics or whatever, but then this is what is happening on the ground. This is what people are saying, and so this is what the concerns are. So take it that, fact check it, look at it, see if it is true. We are just saying these are the things that are happening in terms of the narrative. Whether this is factual or not, we're not going to confirm or deny. We're just simply going to share information as what is happening, what people are saying, and how it is being felt, and how people are feeling. So you can hear this one as we do this one this morning.
I don't care who you are not safe from these ICE raids. If you think that you are safe from ICE raids just because you're a U.S. citizen or a permanent resident or have legal status, you are dead wrong. We just discovered Trump's new quota system, and it is worse than you could possibly imagine. Trump's ICE agents have a new secret quota, 75 arrests per day per office. That's 1,800 people every single day. Here's the terrifying part. They're focused on numbers, not the bad guys. My clients with pending immigration cases arrested. People with clean records being arrested. Parents, workers being arrested. ICE even recently arrested a U.S. military veteran. When the goal is mass deportation now, due process, common sense, and public safety all goes right out the window. Follow me to learn how you can protect yourself and your family.
Yeah, and that is something what has been reported by the media as well, the news media. I also saw something about Venezuela. They had gotten special consideration based on what was happening in their country, the unrest, and so no, that protection has been removed, and as a result, those persons who I almost saw it as a semi-asylum, where because of what's happening in the country, they were given some reprieve to stay, and so you would have families where who would have, for all intents and purposes, they would have complied. So there is some level of documenting their stay. I saw an interview with a gentleman who he is actually studying, and his wife is there as well. The concern is that whereas she was allowed to stay with him, they are now going to, his concern is that she could very well be a part of the deportation. A lot of persons, certainly I'm not there, and it gives me quiver, because so Lady Elise would have spoken about persons going because of visits. They would have, for one reason or another, like you said, that the freedom and the greener pastures as it presented itself was attractive to many people.
Yes.
And they would have gone and established themselves. I know that some years ago, one of the administration had sought more to encourage persons to be documented. Because the truth of it is, the documentation does help with the economy. So when you're paying taxes, when you're contributing to things like Social Security, those infrastructure, it helps the country and it helps to build. But a lot of persons would have gone because of the attraction that it presented. Here we have an opportunity to make life better for my family back home, and they would have stayed for a while. And having recognized the contribution, one of the administration prior had actually gone about it a different way, to say, you've been here for a number of years, let me give you the opportunity to legalize your stay.
Create an amnesty for them.
Exactly.
Right.
So in that way, it was almost a win-win. You have been contributing to the society, the economy. You have been giving your time, your effort to building it. Here, instead of living in fear, let me do you one. Let me allow you the opportunity to have full rights of being here, having contributed. What this administration is now saying is that, to the door, you've been here too long, get out. And the implication of that is absolutely great.
But do you find it different anywhere, though? Do you find that sense of that sentiment operating within the Cayman Islands? Do you feel like that sometimes that this is happening also, in not just the U.S. but other jurisdictions, maybe in Bahamas, maybe in Trinidad, maybe in other countries?
Well, for me, I think you sort of set the stage, Mikey G, when you mentioned how America purported itself. It's the land of the free, it's the land of greater opportunities. So it gives the impression that you are inviting persons to participate in the free, participate in the getting a better life. And so in one breath, you're inviting people to benefit from what your country may not be giving you. And having done so, they're now saying, you know, I don't need you.
Well, what you know, CoraleeKaren, is this: that the people who come to the U.S. In many societies like the U.S., Canada, and other, even Great Britain, they actually make programs available to persons within the Caribbean and other countries to come in. And so what they do a screening process, because they're trying to get professionals, teachers, doctors, lawyers, persons of engineers, persons of varying skills that can enhance their ability. In fact, the U.S. right now is actually imposing a special visa for persons who are of certain caliber in terms of these career choices, engineers especially, that would have given some special invitations, and of course would have been welcomed in this manner. So we have to look at these things as real as they are, and not throw it through the window that the invitation is not still there, but then maybe it's now skewed towards persons who are of certain professional persons, or share a certain profession, and they are the ones who are being very attractive to the U.S. at this time. On the other hand, you're looking at persons who have lived in the U.S. for many, many years. And these persons, you might ask the question, are these persons, these undocumented persons, living off the system? And this is a big question. Here we have, and there's a lot of things going on. So here we have the conversation saying that people who are actually citizens of the U.S., who have been naturalized citizens, persons who actually have their citizenship, are now being scooped up. In fact, it didn't stop there. It went on as far as saying veterans, people who fought in the wars for the U.S., is actually being scooped up as well in these raids. And they're not taking, there's not any differentiation between who are undocumented or who are not undocumented, because there is a mandate and a quota for ICE. And as you notice, it says it has about 2,400 persons per day for each agency that needs to do this thing, right? And so it's a very interesting thing to see. But I want to share another clip with you this morning as to what... Yes,
Michael, is, you know, what... So here it is, you're saying that everybody is now being caught in this net.
Right.
And then do you get the sense that people have that level of confidence that their status is secure? Because I don't. You find, certainly coming out, is that you may in one instance believe that you have it all together, but what the reports seem to be saying is that for one reason or another, the system is finding a reason that you're not completely documented. So there are people who are documented, there are people who in their minds would have been authenticated, but there's something in the system. So nobody seems to be
safe,
secure from it. You know, and that is certainly cause for concern. But you had a clue.
Yeah, you know, boy, Lady CoraleeKaren, this morning's conversation could go on, but I want to share the clip because we have, you know, our window to use to do this one. And of course, I hope our viewers and listeners, those who are joining us on Facebook, YouTube, or on Instagram this morning, or of course on our radio at www.flashpointmedia.ky. I want to say a pleasant good morning to you, and of course, if you're just joining us, I want to say welcome to the breakfast. Of course, you have with us Lady CoraleeKaren, Lady Elise, and of course myself, Mikey G, right here in the studios of Flashpoint this morning. Of course, we just want to bring the news or bring the information to you. This is our mandate. We are not saying I'm not going to go for or against. I'm just going to just bring the news. We are supposed to be somewhat unbiased in what we say, and so I mean, but that's a very tricky thing to say when people talk like that. and bias is something for me. I don't understand how it works because there must be some bias somewhere. But anyways, as best as possible, I will try my best to be unbiased. All right. In this sense, I'm going to share a clip with you in regards to what is the contribution of undocumented persons in the U.S. according to this podcaster asking a question and, of course, getting the responses from persons who will be asked, like a man in the street, and ask some questions to people. And what would be the answer? Yeah, what is the answer? Did they contribute anything? Are they living off the system like parasites, like scorpions, sucking their mother till death? Let's see. And so I'm going to share this clip with you this morning and have your feedback on this one.
How much do you think undocumented immigrants pay into the tax system every year?
Zero.
Nothing.
Probably nothing.
Undocumented, I would guess zero. Why would they pay anything?
My guess is nothing.
Since they're undocumented, $0.
$100. 2022, they paid $96 billion into Social Security and Medicare, just undocumented.
I really don't know what to say about it.
2022, they paid $96 billion into the Social Security Medicare system.
It seems ludicrous that there would be that kind of money coming in.
You are 100% right. Given everything we've heard, it sounds absurd. It sounds insane, just like an alternate reality, right? It runs counter to the entire narrative that we've been getting the past several years. The undocumented immigrants, they paid into the system. They pay it into the system.
Okay.
So through ITN number.
It's undocumented immigrants?
Undocumented immigrants. They pay Medicare, they pay Social Security. They don't get Social Security.
Right, but they pay into it.
They pay
See, I wasn't aware of that.
Yeah.
I wasn't aware of that.
96 billion.
Wow, that's a lot.
$96 billion.
But even without mentioning the vastness of the contribution, did you hear that a lot of people didn't even know that there was that contribution at all? Usually you hear that they are, to use your word, are parasitical, and as a result, it is more pulling or draining. And so those who are documented are the ones paying for them. And it goes back to what you mentioned about being biased, Michael, because a lot of times we hear a side of the story and the source is very keen on fashioning it so that it lands with us a particular way. So they know how or what they want to achieve, and then they create the narrative around it. So nobody knew from the excerpt that there was any contribution, and then to hear the magnitude of the contribution is a total 180 to what prevails out there, and then here's the other element of it. Did you say 11 billion or 11
billion dollars?
$11 billion, but then the number of persons, Elise earlier had mentioned that the number of undocumented persons. And I think it is important for us, ladies and gentlemen, to put it out there that we're not in any way supporting the illegality of the process.
I'm
the system is there.
Top Lady CoraleeKaren.
Great. The system is there for a purpose. When you think about here in the Cayman Islands, and we would have done surveys, the structure is there for a purpose. And so please do not take away from our conversation that we're endorsing persons to be undocumented or illegal. That's not the basis of the conversation. What we're here saying, as a matter of fact, I would even say further, that what we're looking at is more so those who have gone through the process of
documenting themselves. There's one set group of persons. There are persons who are fleeing, and we mentioned last week 19 persons in a vessel found deceased because they're fleeing from their country to try and get something that is better. So there are different elements to it, but please do not take that we are endorsing the illegality and the efforts, not endorsing the efforts that people are going through, the measures that they have to go through, even to death, to get to what they perceive to be the greener pastures. That's not.
When you look at persons in the Cayman Islands, when you let's just zero it into Grand Cayman or the Cayman Islands for a better conversation that we're having right here this morning. You know, let's look at it from the standpoint of saying here is the people who come in and work, and so you get a work permit and you start to work, and the conditions you may endure to achieve something from your laboring. So you basically put yourself in a kind of marginalized living condition to achieve your objective, right? But this is not even what I'm even concerned about. I'm concerned about the persons who have actually gotten their residencies or even go to as far as getting status, and then they are still treated as if they are outcasts. That's what I would look at in the old sense of the word. You're not recognized as anybody, and this is not common in the Cayman Islands. You have now seen it in the United States of America, that the Cayman Islands, if it does this. All right, this is what happened in the COVID-19 situation. In COVID, persons with permanent residence were actually basically was asked or almost forced, if not forced, to actually take the vaccine or lose their residency. And this was something that came up in a conversation. I don't know if it actually went anywhere, but this was something that came up out of the blue. And it was a big concern. This was a concern that was happening. Whether it was mandated by somebody just coming out with a talk, one person who just feel himself above the law and to say that, or it was mandated by some authority within government, but this was a conversation that came up, right? And people were actually on the street. This was a big concern. Now, the U.S. is exemplifying this to say that persons who actually are documented, you're going after undocumented persons, but you're scooping up persons who have legal residency and rights to be in the U.S., and this is another matter altogether. So here we have a paradox in the matter. So I guess the objective, what would be the objective of all of this? You know, is a big question.
Yeah. You know, as I think about it, there are so many things that you can sort of consider, really. Here you have persons now. So let's look at where we are in the system and what the policies is pretty much intended to do. Originally, it was intended to find persons who, having arrived illegally, are unable to find work and are now going through different criminal activities in order to sustain themselves. So there's a big way, almost fear, as you mentioned, fear tactic, that a lot of the persons coming in can't find work because the legitimate workplaces require documentation, require proof, and if you can't do it, then you know, again, the attraction was you can't find a better life. Having arrived and you're not getting a better life, you're now forced, presumably, to create the better life that you came seeking. And unfortunately, that meant going through illegal activities, and as a result, nobody wants that.
Anyway, sorry, go ahead, Lady Coraley.
And so the idea was to get them and to clean up that element of it. A thought could be that in order to catch the bad, you have to bring in the good as well. You know, so what is happening now is whether you are a criminal or not, you're being criminalized because for one reason or another, it could be that in your mind, everything was okay, but something happened and you're now exposed or at risk of being deported. And you see a lot of reports of persons who having put together their documentation, were confident that they're okay, but you have family members waiting to see whether or not they're coming out of the interview. And you've heard instances where persons who have been there for many years, I'm assuming that they have some document, but it may not have been sufficient, and they are now being sent immediately. And in support of that, the new administration has started to prepare Guantanamo Bay as the holding place for these persons. So you went to an interview, you were deemed not to have satisfied the requirement, and immediately you're now being detained, and then you're going to be sent to, before you even get deported, you're going to be sent to Guantanamo Bay in a holding area until the necessary arrangements can be made. You know?
And that's so like an indefinite practice that you may not get out of there very anytime soon. It just sounds like that when you hear the storyline. It's a very difficult thing to hear. When you understand the concept of justice, and justice being served means that before one innocent is convicted, 10 guilty would go free. That is the concept of justice. And if it's revised under the law, the new administration, or under the new laws, then you tell me. But this is what the original thought of what justice looks like. Before one guilty, one innocent person suffer persecution, 10 guilty would go free for that. Now, I think some adjustments has been made that it's best to have all people who have not done anything wrong criminalized, and then to catch one person who has done something bad, you know? And so it might seem justifiable until you are in the net that is being scooped up. It's all right, you know, until your family member is a part of the net. And then you are now screaming. I'm looking for a backlash on this going forward, Lady CoraleeKaren.
No backlash. Before you do the backlash, remember it's time for the news.
I'll share the final clip with you, and then we go to the news. Well, this is one that is set for you this morning. Please pay keen attention to this. It's possibly the closing conversation that we'll have. And of course, this is coming from the man Malcolm X, as it were, was not his original name, but he deemed to call himself that, because you know how it was back in slavery. The black persons or the slave would have been gathered in, and of course, you would have been documented as the owner, as the property of the master, and would have given his name to you as the slave. So all the slave on the plantation would name brown slaves, and so all your surnames are brown, whether you're black or have other ethnic background. So here's where we go. We're going to leave this one with you this morning.
If he was a real citizen, you'd need no more laws. You'd need no civil rights legislation. Civil rights, when you have civil rights, you have citizenship. It's automatic. White people don't need laws to protect their citizenship because they're citizens. But they don't want to tell us we're not citizens. And at the same time, they don't want to pass laws that are meaningful enough to protect us as if we were citizens. And the Supreme Court desegregation decision is the best example I know. That's a law from the Supreme Court. 10 years have gone by. No desegregated schools. It hasn't been implemented beyond, I think, 9% in 10 years. So this just shows you the hypocrisy of the American white man. They talk out of both sides of their mouth.
Follow and subscribe to our...
All right. What the breakfast hour we're having this morning.
Talking from both sides of your mouth.
Okay. Well, you know what we have found is that, let me tell you this one thing. you think about the whole storyline, our own color of our own skin is more dangerous than the Caucasian man. Right now, if you check it, you'll be surprised to see. Alright, so it's time for the news this morning. I don't know if Lady CoraleeKaren want to add anything or subtract anything. Or Lady Elise, on the final, just say final statements on this conversation that we're having this morning, and then let's go to the news.
Well, I sense that there's a great degree of anxiety, not just because, I want to stay away from the illegal persons. It's more so those who will have in their minds have sought to pursue something that is bigger. You think about the Venezuelans who had gotten some reprieve because of what's happening, and they're now caught in this conversation as well. And so you're going back to a home that has unrest. There are other persons who left because of the economic challenges they're now faced. Who are there legally. They're legally, and may not, for one reason or another, they're now being deemed not to have satisfied. They're going to be returning. And so you have a whole, the repercussions, I believe, are great. I think that going back to the first element of our conversations, we're part of a community. And for those of us who may not be in the US or have persons who may be directed, we still need to be a part of the community of supporting those and being our brother's keeper ultimately, again, in the framework that they would have done it according to the information that was presented to them as much as it was available.
Elise, if you have any final words you want to say on this one, let's wrap it up this morning and let's go on you.
I certainly started to think on the impact on the countries who have these illegal immigrants, the burden on the economy, which is, I think, one of the main factors that has sparked this method of dealing with what's happening. And all the individuals involved, certainly it would have been difficult for the immigrant himself, for hiding and trying to survive, their family members, the country, the burden. And when you factor in all of the different things that are involved, you find that there are some gray areas that we have just touched on. We have just touched on just the surface of this discussion, because people move for different reasons, and it's something from the beginning of time. Things are not working out where you are. You're trying to get a better life for you and your family, but how you go about it, that's crucial. And when you balance it too with the biblical principle or even your faith, and when they say Abraham was called to a land which he knew nothing of, he was called, leave your family, leave all your belongings and just go and move. And if that is your situation and now you have to document yourself when you're moving.
As we want to put a disclaimer in there, of course, Flashpoint is not supporting anyone who is wanting to operate illegally anywhere or commit crimes anywhere. So we are saying, just simply looking at the facts, looking at what's happening, and of course we have seen where justice is being misused, the laws are being misused to create injustice within itself. And if that's the situation that is happening, then we must point it out. We must be able to spot it clearly. And so clearly you must know where someone was given asylum, and then because of these new laws, they're taken away from you. You're coming from a situation where people are going to kill you, you are being hunted, or you're in, and you actually got the status of getting this asylum, and then it's being revoked. You can consider that to be, I want to use a stronger word as criminal, but think about it for yourself. Of course, it's time for the news this morning. Of course, thanks for joining us for this conversation about what's happening in our world today. And of course, thanks to CoraleeKaren and of course Lady Elise for being a part of this conversation this morning.
Good morning. These are the news headlines on Flashpoint Radio. I'm CoraleeKaren. Record turnout for Addison Kelly 5K. Thousands gathered in Canal Bay on Saturday morning for the third annual Addison Kelly Butterfly 5K Walk Run, aimed at raising awareness for mental health through fitness. A record 1,500 participants, including the Kelly family, took part in the event, honoring the memory of Addison Kelly, who passed away in 2022 at the age of 16. Bev Sinclair, communications manager at Kelly Holding Limited, expressed gratitude for the overwhelming community response, stating, quote, "We plan for a certain number, but the love and support we receive always exceed expectation. We are just so grateful," end quote. Critically endangered sea turtles rescued by Water Authority staff. In East End, Water Authority workers saved a number of baby sea turtles that became disoriented by artificial lightning and ended up on Seaview Road. Following advice from the Department of Environment, the workers carefully collected and released the hatchlings. A later excavation of the nest revealed it was a rare hawksbill turtle nest containing 215 eggs, with 202 successfully hatching. Unfortunately, 2 hatchlings were found deceased, and experts fear others may have met the same fate. Caymanian wins Cannabis Award in Jamaica. Caymanian entrepreneur Chris Nixon has been recognized for innovation at a cannabis herb curb and a Rebel Salute event in Jamaica. His full spectrum CBD and THC products earned him the Most Innovative Product Award. Nixon's range includes eye drops, nose drops, ear drops, and nasal spray under the Lions Garden Botanicals and Lions Garden CBD brands. He highlighted that his products retain all cannabinoids, unlike those isolated in oils from the US, UK, and Canada. UK officers book recounts policing in 90s Cayman. Former UK police officer Richard Preston, who was seconded to the Cayman Force in the 1990s, has written a book detailing his experiences. The memoir includes tales of tracking Colombian drug cartels and an encounter with an Obo practitioner. Preston, part of the first group of UK constabularies sent to Cayman, described dealing with murders and collaborating with M16 on surveillance operations during his tenure. Captain Keith Tibbets, honored as Cayman Brack's first national hero. The late Captain Keith Parker Tibbets has been named Cayman Brack's first national hero. A former war veteran, seafarer, and politician, Tibbets was among those honored on National Heroes Day. His son, Ian Tibbets, noted that his father would have seen this recognition as a tribute to the people of Cayman Brack and Little Cayman, which he deeply loved. Other honorees included Eastern Craddock Evans and Frank Hugh George Scotland, along with suffragist Francine Eldona Jackson, the only living national hero. In regional news, calls for calm amid U.S. deportation jitters. The past week has seen intense debate surrounding potential deportations of undocumented Jamaicans from the United States. While the Jamaican government has refuted claims that mass deportations are imminent, anxiety remains high within the diaspora. U.S.-based immigration attorneys continue to weigh in on the implications for Jamaica. In St. Vincent and the Grenadines, cyberbullying charge in St. Vincent. A 23-year-old New Montrose man, Jason James, has been charged with cyberbullying under St. Vincent's Cybercrime Act of 2016. Authorities say James distributed a distressing video that impacted the victim's health and reputation. The alleged offense took place on December 30, and James is set to appear in court. In international news, Trump's new tariffs ignite trade war. President Donald Trump has imposed new tariffs on imports from Mexico, Canada, and China, sparking a global trade dispute. The tariffs, 10% on Chinese imports and 25% on goods from Mexico and Canada, are intended to curb fentanyl exports and illegal immigration. However, economic analysts warns that inflation could worsen, and Canada has announced retaliatory tariffs on $155 billion worth of U.S. imports. Trump defended his decision, acknowledging potential short-term economic pain, but stating it is necessary to, quote, make America great again, end quotes. Those were your news headlines on Flashpoint Radio. Please continue to stay with us for updates throughout the day.
Ultrasound that is safe and effective, you must visit Asai Ultrasound Imaging. They are conveniently located at number 4, Chestnut Center, Smith Road, Georgetown, Cayman Islands. With experienced technologists with over 20 years experience, their friendly staff will make you comfortable while you get your procedure done. Asai Ultrasound Imaging is open Mondays to Fridays, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. and 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. on Saturdays. Call Asai Ultrasound Imaging 345-949-2454 or 345-938-3426. That's 345-949-2454 or 345-938-3426.
The news is interesting. I thought I want to, especially coming out of what we were just discussing, the tariffs.
Yes.
So not only, administration is really on a path to execute on the
like when you use the word execute a while ago, it sounds like literally taking off the heads of someone,
And so the economy is being looked at, reviewed from all angles. So not just looking at the individuals there, but you're looking worldwide as well. And so when you think of those, there was something that came out last week about Colombia, which seemed to have been settled. So now we're looking at Canada, Mexico, and there's another territory. But the aim certainly is to follow through on what he has promised. So
election promises were made.
Yes, actually, he has said that the forward is going to be great. That he's now doing the same, encouraging his citizens to buy
more Canadian-based things. And so for me, the question that comes really to my mind is, was sufficient, and it may be rhetorical, was sufficient research done into the
impact of what's going to happen with this?
So the whole idea behind tariffs is so that there is, in terms of the economy, that there's that free flow of change of goods and services, yes?
Right.
And so if we're going to, clearly without having sat at the table before making a decision, was there enough work done into what the implication would be? And this would be a question, why wasn't there a conversation with these individuals? So you went ahead, you have now decided that you're going to unilaterally implement policies that would impact not just the locals, because his thing, the narrative is going to hurt a little bit in the first instance, but bear with me. I'm starting early. It's going to come out. It's going to come out in your favor. And then here's the flip side of it that comes over. Who are the people who are you going to employ to make up for the shortfall? So in terms of manufacturing of those goods, who are the people? Have you identified the people who are now going to be building and creating and manufacturing those things that you usually get from the other places? Are you putting the schools in place, the training institutions, so that as soon as you cut off the head, as you mentioned, execute, as soon as you cut off the head from those other persons, have you created a space that will immediately fill those gaps that was created? And then the other circle is, because you used to benefit from what the other country was giving you, and vice versa, have you thought about the impact of them cutting off your head as well, as it relates to their contribution in their society?
Well, as you know, Lady CoraleeKaren, this conversation is one that is so potent and so amazingly active right now. And by just saying that, just listening to the conversation, it's back and forth and it's flowing, we know that there are going to be great consequences and repercussion, not just by the persons who are being affected outside of the U.S., but the people who are actually in the U.S. There are going to be some stuff happening, but then, you know, what our role is we are appointed as watchmen, and in this case, we use it as a generic form of saying watchmen, male and female in this sense. We are watchmen of the happenings around the world, and of course, I guess we're just going to have to report it. And like I said, we will keep our bias to ourselves as much as we can. That's a difficult sell, as I would say earlier. I don't know who can do that very without having it. But without bias, we have to try our best to be without that and report the news as we can, best as we can.
Absolutely. I think, we also have to be mindful that because of the position of the United States, that we all are going to be impacted by the outcomes. Here in the Cayman Islands, we need to go on the shelves. There are things that we import as well. And if it is that the importation is coming from, what impact is going to have on the prices of things? It's already expensive here, do we see any fallout? Food is expensive, and the repercussion moves from one level to the next. Are we really mindful of the impact? And should we not be?
Yes. Basically, we should be aware. We should really be paying attention to these things. In Jamaica, there was a prime minister by the name of the great late Michael Manley, Honorable Michael Manley, who says, eat what you grow and grow what you eat. plant, in this sense, plant your food yourself and provide to feeding your people without depending on any outside source of doing it. Because this is one of the main reasons why people can attack you through your food, because if you can't feed yourself, then you will starve. And here is the concept that is being used by the now giant United States of America, who, in a lot of ways, is imposing tariffs. Not to say that they are feeding everybody, but in the sense that you depend on us to survive. Whether you are selling us food or otherwise, you need us, so you do what we say. So, having said that, I guess we get into our birthday celebration.
Absolutely, absolutely. Paxton is celebrating his birthday. Paxton Fletcher, Hazel G, the rhythm of this,
rhythm of that,
and extraordinaire, little extraordinaire. Her grandson Paxton celebrates his birthday today, and so from all of us here at Flashpoint Media, Flashpoint Ministries, Paxton, have a wonderful, wonderful 9th birthday. We are celebrating with you. Confetti is going up. I hope you're seeing them. Balloons. Have a wonderful, wonderful day. Precious Paxton.
Of course, I add my bit of quartet also to the celebration. Paxton, of course, he was in studio with me some time ago, I think last year. And of course, he was there with me, and of course, Lady Elise at the time, and of course, Hazel G in studio, right in the studio of Flashpoint. And of course, we want to say happy birthday. I want to say extend my happy birthday greetings to you, Paxton, right here from the desk of Mikey G from Flashpoint Media, right here in the Grand Cayman Islands, to you across the waters, wherever you are this morning.
Grandma, I am going to take it on myself to say Grandma loves you immensely, and so she wanted to make sure that love is exploded, is expressed unreservedly to you, and so that everybody knows that you're special to her as well as to Mom and Dad. And so we want to join with Grandma in wishing you a wonderful, wonderful celebration today.
The concept of bonus, the bonus.
But it's more than a hug, that's a squeeze, that's a lengthy squeeze. That's bonus. Yes, definitely. Paxton, and I'm sure Grandma will personally reach out to you, but she wanted to make sure that the world knows how much she loves you and how much their family will be celebrating with you on your special day.
Happy birthday, Paxton. Of course, it has come to our attention that it is time for us to leave.
It is.
It's been an amazing morning, Lady CoraleeKaren.
It has been, Mikey G, and again, as we started from, in terms of the community, just wanted to let us know that whatever's going on,
yes,
whatever the circumstances are, start the day knowing that God is in control. And if you put your hand in the hand of Almighty God, then it will be a marvelous Monday. His mercies will be extended to you, and it will be magnificent. Claim it, because we serve a mighty God.
Thank you, Lady CoraleeKaren this morning. Of course, extended also to Lady Elise this morning, who, would have given, her concept on what's happening across the world today, and share our views as well, And this morning, so much is in the news, so much is in the airwaves around us, so much is going to be happening today. Persons are in different places, very, I don't want to use the word agitated, but agitated is actually the word in a lot of ways. Or concerned, I might want to use a softer word. concerned of the happenings, and they don't have to be in the US. In fact, Cayman is concerned this morning because the impact on this global, this new legislation of the US is not just affecting people in the US, it's affecting persons in Grand Cayman as well, because Grand Cayman have people who are living in the family members who are living in the US who are actually impacted by these things.
Absolutely.
So, be mindful. Alright, so I'm going to say thank you for listening, thank you for joining this morning. The breakfast things turn up around here, of course. We want to say to the Ebenezer SDA Church, for those SDA church family, is trying to raise funds to acquire a new property for a multimedia center. Trust me. And so we're asking everyone to please look at the flyer. We shared it on our social media platform and all other platforms. You will see it. It's a click and donate button on it, and you can just go straight to the donation. So please, when you see it, it doesn't matter how much. When I say how much, it could be $1 million for 1 cent. It doesn't matter. If you so desire, please.
Again, we build together. I saw clips actually from the Real and the Ebenezer team went out to support the meeting. They were there mixing mortar. People were physically there. We're a community, and so in any way that you can assist, please go out and assist. And physically, financially, right now, Manna Foundation needs our support. Please support. Mikey G, we can't close the show without thanking the team for participating in karaoke Saturday night.
Mercy, I forgot everything about the karaoke this weekend. How could I forget that?
Yeah, just wanted to really, really thank the supporters. It's growing, and we were very, very humbled that you took time out of your schedule to come and share with us. And we crowned the queen of karaoke, and I would ask you to announce the winner of the karaoke, who went away with a trophy, right, Mikey? Connie's daughter.
Oh, okay. That is.
So, yeah, and my apologies, I'm not good with names, but she came away with the karaoke queen, and it was fabulous. A lot of persons came to support us. We really, really want to thank you for being a part of the event and to encourage you to continue to support us in the future events.
Congratulations to Abian this morning.
Yes.
Congratulations to Abian this morning for being the queen, crowned. Of course, it's not king and queen, it is king or queen. So it is just one trophy for whomever it is that wins or the crowd or the persons who are present deemed karaoke queen. Of course, she is reigning queen of karaoke now. So the next stop is for somebody to see if they can dethrone her in the next event. Exciting times are coming up. Lady CoraleeKaren.
Have a marvelous, magnificent, merciful Monday, everyone, and make sure that you put your hand in the hand of Almighty God.
Of course, you can stay with Flashpoint. Of course, continue to listen to our radio on www.flashpointmedia.ky. Our radio continues all the great stuff coming up. Lots of information for you. Of course, 24 hours up to date, all through the night as well. Want to say good morning to Mama Boy, all the way in Jamaica. Of course, listen to Flashpoint. I want to say good morning also to the man Dr. Cool, of course, living in the United States of America. Of course, I'm popularly called Israelite. So we just want to say big up yourself, Israelite, this morning right here on Flashpoint. Of course, all guests, our listeners who are constantly being here with us, and you're locked into Flashpoint every day. We want to say thank you for joining us. Thank you for being a part of this experience this morning, and have yourself a Flashpoint day.
Scott, and you're listening to Flashpoint Radio, Rise and Shine, your morning boost of inspiration, news, and fun. With Mikey G, Lady Elise, and CoraleeKaren, the unmistakable combination, synergized to navigate.
It's like we're running in circles, going around every day, getting stuck in the hurdles of yesterday. Don't you wanna go further, away from the fray? Let's not get stuck in our worries. Won't you come outside where the sunflowers bloom? Breathe in the air, look up to the moon. I'll meet you outside, away from the crowd. Just you and me together, we'll see outside. Just us in the sky. Are we part of this circus? Is it innate? Feels like a heavy burden, but I can't relate. Do our actions even matter? Or is this a fate? At least now I'm feeling better. I know I'm here to stay. Won't you come outside where the sunflowers bloom? Breathe in the air, look up to the moon. I'll meet you outside, away from the crowd. Just you and me together, we'll see.